What's going on, everybody? This is Owen from Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. Welcome in today to episode number 43. This is our year in review episode. We're going to talk about all the music that I've been listening to this year, some of the vinyl I've been collecting this year. We're going to take a look at my Spotify Wrapped and put a bow on the year that was 2025. Thank you all for tuning in today. Today is December 26th, 2025. Yesterday was Christmas, so Merry Christmas. And we are here, the end of the year. New Year's is coming up, so Happy New Year preemptively to everyone out there listening. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I was really proud of the content I put out this year. I felt that there was a lot of good work. Really made an effort this year to bring back the show and start producing it regularly. So if you are tuning in for the first time, I thank you for being here. If you've tuned in for all 43 episodes, or if you're a regular listener, I appreciate you all the same. Thank you all for being a part of this community and this show. Thanks for tuning in. I know you don't have to do that. So happy to be here today to talk about some of the year that has been with my listening, talking just briefly about the podcast and how we've experienced growth, put some numbers out over the Spotify Wrapped kind of time period. So about a month ago, on Instagram, talking about some of the growth that the show's experienced. Numbers were up across the board in terms of listening and audience size. Excuse me. So really excited that that is happening and looking forward to the continued growth that I'm hoping to experience in 2026. Yeah. So want to thank everyone who's tuned in, just talking about albums like this whole show is intended to talk about when we brought it back earlier this year. And then as we got further along, went to some concerts, was able to see the band Feel 4 times, talked about that extensively. And then, we had a chance to actually interview Caden Ray from the band Feel. So was excited about that opportunity and grateful that that was something that we got to do. So very thankful for anyone who tuned in this year. And let's get into kind of what we're talking about today, which is my year of listening in 2025. So before we talk about what I listen to, let's talk about how I listen to music. So for me, mostly I collect records, I have CDs, I have some cassettes. So I love my physical media, but I do pay for Spotify. I do listen to Spotify. I do have some kind of mixed feelings about using Spotify, but for now, I'm still a paying subscriber to Spotify, and I still use my subscription to explore lots of different artists out there. In terms of the process of how I determine what to listen to, I will pick an artist and I will start from their first album. So let's take Oasis. If I start with Oasis and I go to their first album, I will listen to that first album, definitely maybe from the first track to the last track. I'll like all the songs, add it to my liked songs playlist, and I will, if I like a sufficient amount of material on that first album, I'll go to the second album. And so on and so forth until I've listened to every album that band has. And then I can say, I'm a fan. And if I make it that far, I'm usually am a fan. Sometimes what happens with a band like Iron Maiden, you listen to the first album and then you listen to their stuff in the 80s. And then you get to a point where you get to the 90s stuff and you're kind of like, all right, I've hit a wall. I've heard enough of this. I'm going to put it away. And sometimes you return to it, sometimes you never do. And that's okay, because I think at the end of the day, every band has their peak. Every artist has their run of albums where it's their best. And if you're tuned in for that and you really know that, you don't have to be a super fan of every artist is what I'm trying to say. But you can still know that music and still have it in your repertoire. So for me, that's my process. My goal at the beginning of 2025 was to listen to one album a week, and I would reserve Friday to be the day when I would listen to these albums. So at work, I like to bring my headphones in on Friday. I try not to wear headphones every day at work because I know that that can cause damage to your ears, and I value my hearing, and I don't want to lose my hearing. So without, talking too much about my process or how I work through picking these albums or anything, let's just talk about what I listened to. So I have in my notes app, I would just simply jot down each week what I was listening to and keep a running tally. I would write down the name of the album the artist, the year the album came out, and then the date of this year that I listened to it. So let's take a look at my list here and we'll go through it one by one. Then I'll talk about some of my favorites and we'll talk about just my overall thoughts about this little experiment that I ran. So we see here now my list. As I say at the top, the goal was to listen to at least one new album, new being in quotes there, because this album does not have to be a brand new release, but it's rather something that is new to me. So started out on January 3rd of this year with The Long Road from Nickelback in 2003. Definitely Maybe, Oasis's 1994 release. In Your Honor, Foo Fighters 2005 release, excuse me. Gish by the Smashing Pumpkins, 1991. Fear Inoculum, Tool's most recent release from 2019. Down on the Upside, Soundgarden's 1996 release. Foo Fighters. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band's debut, Greetings from Asbury Park, New Jersey. Godsmack's debut, Godsmack, released in 1998. All the Right Reasons from Nickelback in 2005. That was on March the 1st. That is the album with all their hits on it. Rockstar, a lot of popular songs came off that album. It goes Silence, Patience, and Grace from the Foo Fighters in 2007. That album features The Pretender. What's the Story, Morning Glory, Oasis's 1995 release that features the classic Wonderwall. Elton John's debut, Empty Sky, released in 1969. Foo Fighters' 2011 release, Wasting Light. Morica from the Black Crowes. Exile on Cold Harbor Lane, which is from a band called Alabama 3, released in 1997. The Wall from Pink Floyd, released in 1979. Oasis's third album, Be Here Now. Rage Against the Machine's debut, released in 1992. Headless Cross from Black Sabbath, released in 1989. This was the Tony Martin era of Black Sabbath. Blow Up Your Video, AC/DC's 1988 release and their worst album, in my opinion. Super Collider, Megadeth's 2013 release. Shnushed, or however you pronounce that. Rammstein's 1997 release. Helmet's debut, Strap It On, released in 1992. Foo Fighters' 2014 release, Sonic Highway. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band's second album, The Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle, released in 1973. And Hagar's 1991 For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers' self-titled debut, Dystopia, released by Megadeth in 2016. Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins, released in 1992. Meantime from Helmet in 1992. The Razor's Edge, released by AC/DC in 1990. The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, Megadeth's most recent album, released in 2022. Rocks by Aerosmith, released in 1976. Bad Motorfinger from Soundgarden, released in 1991. Pisces Iscariot, released by the Smashing Pumpkins in 1993. Standing on the Shoulders of Giants from Oasis, released in 2000. Pride and Glory from the band Pride and Glory, released in 1994. This is a trio formed by Zakk Wylde out of the New Jersey area in the 90s as he was taking a break from his solo work with Ozzy Osbourne. Red Hot Chili Peppers' 1984 debut album, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness from the Smashing Pumpkins, released in 1995. This was by far the longest album that I listened to this year. This thing was over 2 hours long, and that is not any kind of deluxe edition. That is just the length of the album. 311's debut, Music, released in 1993. Oasis's Heathen Chemistry, released in 2002. Pearl Jam's No Code. Limp Bizkit's debut, $3 Bill Y'all. Cracker's self-titled debut, Cold Spring Harbor by Billy Joel. Out of Our Heads by the Rolling Stones. Adore from the Smashing Pumpkins. Bruce Springsteen's classic Born to Run, released in 1975. Elton John's self-titled album. Thrice's Identity Crisis, released in 2001. Limp Bizkit's Significant Other, and the last album that I listened to just earlier this week, Blues Traveler's debut, self-titled Blues Traveler, released in 1990. So that's the list. Those are the albums that I listened to over the course of this year. Some of my favorites off that list include Definitely Maybe from Oasis, In Your Honor by Foo Fighters, Fear Inoculum from Tool, What's the Story, Morning Glory from Oasis, Wasting Light by the Foo Fighters, Exile on Cold Harbor Lane by Alabama 3, Rage Against the Machine by Rage Against the Machine, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge from Van Halen, Siamese Dream from the Smashing Pumpkins, Bad Motorfinger from Soundgarden, Standing on the Shoulders of Giants by Oasis, Pride and Glory by the trio Pride and Glory, and Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness from the Smashing Pumpkins. Those were some of my favorites I listened to over the course of the year. Some albums, I enjoyed some more than others. They're not all the same, obviously. Definitely, as you probably heard from that list of my favorites just now, Oasis was a big favorite for me, hence why I'm wearing this Oasis bucket hat bought this year while their reunion was going on. Caught Oasis fever and wanted to grab a hold of this bucket hat. Was really kind of getting into the culture of the Brits and that whole kind of '90s era, but did not get a chance to see them live. I was kind of a year late on Oasis. So last year they had announced they were coming back. 2025, they do the worldwide tour. I didn't have tickets. Only really decided I would want to get tickets and see them like this summer when it was too late. And then, the tour ends. Rumors they're going to come back in 2026. I think the odds that they come to the United States again are slim. They don't not really where their fan base is. So I would understand it if they don't come back. If they do come back, I would make an effort to go. And I don't know. Maybe Owen's Rock and Metal podcast goes across the pond to the UK to go see them perform. But nothing's even announced yet. So this is all just speculation on my part. But really dug into Oasis. And we'll see that when we take a look at my Spotify Wrapped later in the show. So definitely something that I really dug into. I talked about kind of my process of listening to a band, starting with their first album. With Oasis, the start of that sort of came back in January of this year. So that's when I listened to their first album. It was January 10th. And I knew some Oasis songs. I knew Wonderwall. I knew Don't Look Back in Anger. I knew Champagne Supernova. I didn't know too many others though, but I cannot endorse this band enough. Some people chalk it up as it's just beer music, and that may be, but I think it's just good songs. They make you feel good. And like Noel says, people won't forget the way that you made them feel. And I think Oasis made a lot of people feel they felt good. They feel there's a community there. Seeing videos this summer, especially of British geezers and people from different generations. There's the geezer crowd, and then there's younger people my age going to see Oasis, and they're all singing along and they're all embracing one another. Seeing that community really like made me want to be a part of that. And it really highlighted their significance and their importance. And I think that it's really something cool to be a part of. And I think that just speaks to the power of music. So big fan of Oasis. Definitely started adding a lot of their stuff to my collection, which I will pull down some of my purchases from 2025 and talk about some of those later on in the program. But with Oasis, talking about the inspiration to listen to them, it really comes from seeing their stuff on social media. I got in a big Oasis rabbit hole, especially once that reunion came out. Once that news came out, I think it was the front guy for the 1975. I don't know his name. Matt Healy, is that his name? There was a clip of him talking about Oasis, and he was talking about those first two albums and how they're some of the greatest rock albums of all time. And I said, all right, I'm going to check out this Oasis band. So I listened to the first album, and that first album is just a whirlwind of they're just hits to me. Really a big fan of everything that album brings. Pulling it up now, just so I can make sure I don't miss a track. But, Off the Dome, it's Live Forever, Rock and Roll Star, Supersonic, Shaker Maker, Up in the Sky, Columbia, Bring It On Down, Cigarettes and Alcohol. That's one of my favorite Oasis tunes. Dixie's Dinner, Slide Away. Slide Away. How do you beat Slide Away? And then Married with Children to close it out. I've mentioned before, I play a little guitar. I did a cover of Married with Children up on my YouTube channel. During COVID, I really put a lot of covers out there, just me playing in my bedroom, just singing to stuff, but just something to do too, honestly, just for me to have an outlet. But putting that out there just, I think, speaks to the impact that Oasis had. Still searching for definitely maybe to add to my wall of vinyl behind me. But then, we go to the second album. What's the Story, Morning Glory? And it hits. It's like, I'm like, all right, let's see what they got. I liked that first album. Let's see what that second album has. And it blows me away. It blows me away with tracks like self-titled, the title track, What's the Story, Morning Glory, Hello, Wonderwall, Roll With It. These songs are legendary. And the album that is not on here, but I did listen to it this year. And what really helped grow my Oasis fandom was the live album. Their live album from Nebworth in 1996. I listened to that a ton. I remember taking a trip down to Athens, Ohio with my friend Roberto, who's been on the show before. We went down there. On the way down, we listened to the full live album, Oasis live at Nebworth. On the way back, we listened to the same thing. I just really felt a connection with that band and their songs at this time in my life this year. And I ran with it, and I wanted to keep listening to them more. The thing with listening to these albums in 6 album blocks is that you cannot, like, I don't write multiple Oasis albums. Like, I'm not, for 6 albums, I'm not just going to write out 6 Oasis albums. It's one per artist. You have to really like a band to put them on again. And people talk about binging TV a lot. This system doesn't allow to like binge. If you hold yourself to it, you're exploring like a different palette, a different genre, a different kind of sound every week. You're allowing yourself to not just become totally sucked into one band, you're spacing it out a little bit. I mean, away I totally, a lot of what I listened to from like June onward was Oasis. If I was listening to something, it was Oasis. So I did get sucked in, but I still tried to sprinkle in other stuff through my note card system, where write out 6 albums. I listen to it in 6 album blocks. Don't know if I mentioned that or not off the top. Behind the scenes, this is take 2 of this episode. I recorded a first part. I was 20 minutes into talking and I realized my mic wasn't on, so I had to start over. So this is take 2. I'm having a little trouble remembering, like, did I already mention that, or was that in the bad copy? Just to talk a little bit about my process again, if I didn't mention it. 6 album blocks at a time. What will happen is I will go to the band's first album. I'll write it out. I'll write out 5 others. And then on Fridays, when I bring my headphones to work, I will pull up a random number generator before I leave. Random number generator 1 to 6, 1 to 5, 1 to 4, however many are left on the card. Whatever number I get, wherever that album is in sequential order on the card, that is the album. So if it's a 1, it's the first album. If it's a 2, it's the second album. And then I'll download it, listen to it. When I get home, check it off, and then the next week we'll do it again. So that's how that process sort of goes. I've been doing this for years at this point, but it's not like I listen to music outside of this. So this is just to encourage me to explore new music, not just to totally gatekeep all my music listening. It's just to encourage exploration. So, these albums, as it kind of flows, Oasis is like, listen to them at the beginning of the year, and then they really started to take hold in like the spring, and listen to them through the end of the year. And Foo Fighters, there was a lot of Foo Fighters sprinkled in there as well. And we could just kind of see how you can just kind of see, looking back, how the tastes changed. And, later in the year added in more like Billy Joel, more Elton John, wanted to sort of diversify, maybe move away from the rock and a little more of like the piano playing singer-songwriter sort of vibe, adding in more Bruce Springsteen, adding in more, less of a one-way track, more sound, more diversity, checking out different options out there. And that's the whole goal of this. And that's what I tried to accomplish. So yeah, those are some of the favorite albums that I listened to this year. Some of my favorites, a lot of the tracks that I've had on repeat this year come from this this experiment. Just comes from exploring new music. Talking about my vinyl collection, as you can see behind me, I have a vinyl collection. I'm going to take a moment to pull down my vinyls that I bought this year. Let me log into my Discogs so I can get a good look at what I purchased this year. For those of you unfamiliar, Discogs is a platform where you can catalog your personal music collection. So for me, I have some CDs I keep cataloged in there, but it's mostly my vinyl. If you collect music, if you collect anything physical media, well, this is mainly music. If you're collecting like DVDs, this probably isn't for you. But if you collect that sort of thing, I would consider keeping it on Discogs. I think it's a great way for me to quickly say, okay, how much do I have in my collection right now? And you can easily check your value. I will admit, I do like to flex my value that I have to people. Oh yeah, my collection's worth this much. They're like, dang, that's crazy. That's kind of a shitty thing, but I don't know. I'm proud of what I have. I'm proud of my collection. Working through here to take a look at what I have. Using this on the laptop. I usually use Discogs on the phone. I just want to filter out switching to using it on my phone because this is just easier. Yeah, I just wanted to filter out just to vinyl so I don't have any like CDs in there. Anyway, so I will say this year, looking back, I can definitely say that I have bought less vinyl. Moved out this year, kind of had a goal at the beginning of the year to move out at some point. So I knew I would need to have more money, and vinyl is not cheap, for better or worse. This is just something that's a reality for collectors right now. The industry, there's more interest in it. It's changing. It's getting more eyeballs on it, and it's getting more people to collect, which, good or bad, that's just kind of the way it is. So at the end of 2024, I reached 300 albums in my collection. Right now, I am at 381. So on this wall behind me, there are 381 albums. And I'm going to take a moment now, pick out some of my top selections from this year that I bought this year, and we'll go through that. Okay, so pulled off the wall some of my top picks from my collection days this year. So I'll just show you here from the start of this year to now, sort of what I took some time to go out there and buy. One thing I would say to anybody who's not a collector but wants to be a collector or wants to just buy a vinyl or two, please support your local record store. Go to a secondhand store, go to your local record store. Don't buy them from Walmart. Don't buy them from some corporate, giant warehouse manufacturer, whatever. I think that takes a lot of the soul out of it. I mean, you can buy online if you want. I prefer to go in person, dig through the bins, get lucky, see what you might find. I think that's part of the fun with it. That's part of the exploration. That's part of the, you never know what you're going to find. So if we look at my little discogs here, January 3rd, we got some Neil Diamond. I think this was stuff I had forgotten to add to my discogs that I was backfilling. We've got some John Denver. We've got some Operation Mindcrime, Queensryche. We've got some Foo Fighters live album, Queen's Jazz, Who's Next. These are some interesting albums I will talk about in a moment. We got some Gojira. Ooh, we've got a Led Zeppelin cassette box set that I have on my wall. I might grab that here in a minute. I Was Made for Loving You. This was a big single. Some Rat, AC/DC, an AC/DC bootleg from Cleveland, Ohio. Got some singles. Got some Kiss. Got some Beatles, Alice in Chains. This is some CDs that I had added. Some Styx, Ray Charles, Conway Twitty, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Deep Purple, Elvis, George Jones, Bruce Springsteen, a lot of Elvis here. We got a little Metallica CD there. Beatles, Dean Martin, Nirvana, Oasis, Rage Against the Machine, a nice little Soprano CD. Bobby Darin, Johnny Cash, Woodstock, Def Leppard, Eric Carr, Nickelback, Dire Straits, The Black Crowes, Foo Fighters, Black Sabbath live album, Van Halen live album, Oasis live album. Big fan of the live album. We got some Patsy Cline, we got some Oasis, we got some Led Zeppelin, and we got some Kiss and more Oasis. So that's what I had cataloged on my Discogs collection. I'm going to show you kind of what I pulled off the wall here, and then we'll take a look at my Spotify Wrapped, and we'll put a bow on this, and we'll put a bow on 2025 for Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. So I bought these at an antique store, Antiques Village, in Kettering or in Centerville. These are singles, so you just need an adapter to fit the bigger hole in the middle. And oftentimes, they have 2 tracks per side. So here we have the Rolling Stones. The main track here is Beast of Burden. This was $5 at Antiques Village. B-side here is When the Whip Comes Down. Boogie Shoes from the feature film Saturday Night Fever. From KC and the Sunshine Band, this was $4. Ladies Night from Kool and the Gang. If you feel like dancing on the other side, this was $2. So we got some disco-y stuff here. We've got Dancing in the Dark from Bruce Springsteen. A $3 find here. This was all from, Antiques Village. So if you're in the Kettering area, check out Antiques Village. It's a fun time. We've got Sea of Love by Phil Phillips. And on the other side, It's Only Make Believe by Conway Twitty. I really only know about Conway Twitty from Family Guy. I like his stuff at the end of the day. We've got I Like Beer from Tom T. Hall. This was a $3 find. We've got Dancing Queen from ABBA with That's Me on the B-side, $4. And we've got Surfin' USA and Shut Down from the Beach Boys. Little single there, $4 for that as well. Cheap compared to the vinyl that I'm getting. $4 is a steal. You're only getting one song, but if you have like a jukebox or something where that would fit, I have an adapter on my record player that can play those, and that's what I use that for as I fidget with something off screen here. Please excuse me. Talking more about the vinyl that I have here, just gonna hold them up, tell them about where I got them, and just sort of what this album means to me, and then we'll move on. So this is going to work backwards. Some of this, the stuff on top that I'm going to get to first is the stuff I bought more recently. Stuff on the bottom is the stuff I bought towards the beginning of the year. So my memory might be a little fuzzy on some of that. Here we have Oasis recently re-released this, but this is Familiar to Millions. This was a live album they did in the year 2000. So it was recorded at Wembley Stadium over that summer. And this, I talked about the live album from Nebworth. This album features a different collection of songs. It's got more of their 2000. It's got more of their Standing on the Shoulders of Giants material on it. It's got some, it's just at a different stage of their career from 1996 to 2000. A little bit of a different sound, but they had not released this since 2000. So I think this was the first time they had done a re-release in a while. And I said, I got to get my hands on that. Was able to grab onto that and got that from Omega Music. A lot of these are going to come from Omega Music, downtown Dayton. They're a little expensive. Records are expensive. That's just reality. Buy used if you're looking to save money. Used records, they have some bargains there. But if you're in the Dayton area, check out Omega Music. A lot of great finds there. Like this, The Master Plan. One thing Oasis does really well is their B-sides. Just as we saw with these singles, for those unfamiliar, a single is going to have an A-side. So in this case, Surfin' USA, that's the A-side. That's the side you want to play. That's the side, that's the hit. The B-side is the other song that's on there. It's the second half to it. Usually doesn't get as much airplay, usually not as good of a song, but still strong enough to be on the single. The Master Plan is a collection of B-sides. It is a collection of B-sides to singles that the band would release back in the 90s. And a lot of these B-sides were not featured on albums. So this was a compilation released in the late 90s that would feature these tracks, and it would show off sort of their whole development. I mean, like Acquiesce, Talk Tonight, It's Good to Be Free, Listen Up, Half the World Away, Fade Away, Head Shrinker, The Master Plan. These songs are classics, and they still play them live to this day. So I think that just speaks to their longevity and their cultural impact. So definitely a fan of The Master Plan. And here is this puppy that I was talking about earlier, Oasis live at Nebworth. We got Liam there on the cover. This is I watch the movie of this concert on YouTube sometimes. I just love it. I love how Liam stands, his arms behind his back. I love how, he's just got some aura to him. He's just a drunk fool at the end of the day, but I just think there's something about how he's just his presence. I think he's got a really strong presence. I think he's got a really attitude of just don't give a fuck. And I think that's just what a rock star should possess on some level. And I just think that live album, like I touched on earlier, really encapsulates a lot of that Oasis sound. And I think that album, the live album that I just showed, was a big catalyst for me listening back to those first couple studio albums and saying, well, I like this on the live album, and I probably like the studio version, and then just digging more and more and more. Here we have another Conway Twitty. This is Hello Darlin'. This features Hello Darlin' and his cover of Rocky Top and several other tracks. This was only $8. I don't remember where I got this from. It may have been New to You vinyl in Miamisburg. If you are looking to collect used vinyl and you're in the Dayton area, New to You vinyl in Miamisburg. They also have like a vintage section to the store as well, but they have all used vinyl, so the price is fair. They've got cool posters, VHS tapes, DVDs, and other vintage material as well, not just in media like lunchboxes and action figures and things like that. Definitely a cool store to check out in the Miamisburg area. Here we have What's the Story, Morning Glory. What's the Tale, Night and Dale. This album, iconic. We see, there's the brothers there. We got Noel right here, and then we got Liam over there on the left there. I mean, Hello, Roll With It, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Bunhead's Bank Holiday, Some Might Say, Cast No Shadow, She's Electric, Morning Glory, Champagne Supernova, The Swamp Song. These are all songs that I love listening to this album. I love driving around, singing along to it. I think I do a pretty good job. But I just really, I don't know. I feel that this album, it's just got good energy. It's got a good vibe. It's got a good sound. It's got a good attitude. And I think that's what you need. This was a cool re-release that the old Black Crowes and Jimmy Page did. This is Live at the Greek. It's Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes. They did a little show together, did a little live album. Turn around. A lot of glare coming off my ring light there. But the Black Crowes talked about how I listened to a couple of their albums. Obviously, maybe not so obvious, I'm a huge Led Zeppelin fan. So I remember listening to this album in high school. And, songs like their cover of Out on the Tiles or their cover of In My Time of Dying, those tracks really, hearing those from with the Black Crowes twist was really something neat. And having it on a physical release, I want to say this is not the version I have, but there is like a deluxe version that has like um, sound check recordings and things like that. So having this re-released, definitely a cool find. Here we have one of my favorite albums that I listened to this year for the first time. This is Foo Fighters' In Your Honor. As I mentioned, they have kind of that, it's a double album, first half of the album or of the electric stuff, the songs. The start of this album, the tracks flow together so nicely from In Your Honor, No Way Back, Best of You, DOA, Hell, the last song. And then we kind of start to slowly shift. And then when we're into the second half of the album, it's got songs like What If I Do, Friend of a Friend, Over and Out, Cold Day in the Sun, Virginia Moon, Razor, that just sort of encapsulate this whole ebb and flow. We start up here, but then we can flow down, and it really shows the dynamics that this band possesses. So big fan of this album. Here's another album. Not listened to it for the first time this year, but I did get it on physical release for the first time this year. Revolver. I've been really digging into the Beatles in the last couple weeks. And I must say, the Beatles are, some people think they're overrated, but I think they're rated what they are for a reason. And I think this album is really growing on me, and it's really, really sticking to me a little more than when I first listened to it. I mean, Taxman, Eleanor Rigby, Here, There, Everywhere, She Said, Good Day Sunshine, And Your Bird Can Sing, I Got to Get You Into My Life, Tomorrow Never Knows. Tremendous tracks. I put this up there with like Sgt. Pepper's, and then, of course, like Abbey Road as well. I think this is a very strong release from the Beatles, from the Fab Four. Here's one that I got at a Dayton record fair at Eudora Brewing. I'm a big Kiss fan. I think we've touched on that before. This is Music from the Elder. I had never seen this on physical release. I was very excited to see it, and I knew I had to have it. So, of course, I bought it. Now, I believe that I am only one Kiss. No, that's actually not true. I need 2 Kiss studio albums to have them all. I believe I need Carnival of Souls, The Final Sessions, and Psycho Circus. If I can find those at some point, then I will have every Kiss album on vinyl. I have Psycho Circus on CD, so I have Carnival of Souls on CD too. So I have every Kiss album in some physical form. Here we have a live album from AC/DC. If You Want Blood, You've Got It. As I touched on when we were going through my Discogs, I do have a bootleg that I picked up of theirs from Cleveland. This is from Three Feather Records in Fairfield, Ohio. So if you're in the Cincinnati, Fairfield, Dayton area, that's a cool shop to check out as well. Features Bon Scott on lead vocals. To me, that's AC/DC's peak. And I just think that the live energy that they bring is really neat here. This is something cool that I found. This is a big single. This is Kiss's I Was Made for Lovin' You, the single, but it's not this size. It's full size. So you don't have to do anything to like change the speed because of the size. That's the thing. Like you might hear these called 45s, and that's for how many rotations a minute you have to spin the player to play the sound accurately. The standard for like a full length album like this is 33 1/3, and that's what this is, even though it's just one song. There's not even a B-side on this. It's a special one-sided record, play other side. This was from, let me look at my poster here. This is from Lester's Rock and Roll Shop in Middletown. So if you're in Cincinnati, Dayton area, if you're a Kiss fan, he's got a lot of cool Kiss stuff. If you like guitars, if you like skateboarding, he's got a really interesting shop with some good finds in there. Definitely found some cool stuff there, this being one of them. Here was a cool album that I had seen in this store for a long time, and I had always debated, should I buy it? Should I buy it? Kind of expensive. And one day I just said, fuck it, I'm going to buy it. That is Gojira's The Way of All Flesh. This was their 2008 release. In my opinion, it is the best Gojira album. And I finally just said, you know what? I've seen this in this shop for months now. I've debated on getting it, not getting it. I'm going to get it. And so I took a stab at it. I bought it from Omega Music, and now it's mine. And it's one of their best. Here is 2 more finds from Omega. You might be saying, what bands are these? Are these WTUE homegrown? What this is a collection of bands from, this was released 1980 and 1981. So these were local bands in the Dayton area, Xenia, kind of Southwest Ohio. WTUE had a contest. People would send in their band's tapes, and the WTUE staff would listen to them, and they would put together this release. WTUE is a local classic rock station for those of you not familiar. And I thought that finding this for $5 each was a really cool find. I have listened to it and there is some good stuff on here. And I just think that, like, where are these people now, who are in these bands? This may have just been some project they had during high school and they gave up on it. And now it's, you know, just, this is all that's left of it. To think that, these songs are quality, and it's like, where did these go? Where does any of this go? It's just interesting it's an interesting time capsule into 1980 and 1981, and not just what you hear on the radio, but like the underground or a small amateur musician scene. So yeah, so it's just a neat little thing. It'd be kind of cool if they still did that. They might still do it. I'll have to look into that a little bit. Here's another find I got from Omega Music. This is Who's Next from The Who, featuring like Baba O'Reilly, Behind Blue Eyes, Won't Get Fooled Again. Classic Who album. And as I mentioned, buying used can save you a lot of money. This thing was $3. So if you don't care about quality as much and you're not looking for like a high production value or anything like that, buy a used record. You could still get the record, you can still listen to it, and you can still have a physical media collection. And the last one I pulled off my shelf here was Queensryche's Operation Mindcrime. I've seen Jeff Tate a couple times with my dad. My dad is a big Queensryche fan. So buying that, I have their album from 1990, I think, Empire. Enjoy listening to those albums, enjoy going to shows with my dad, and just sort of, spending time together. So some of my favorites that I bought and added to my record collection. Let's talk about it. Let's pull up the Spotify Wrapped, and then that'll do it for Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast for 2025. Big year for me. Big year for Oasis. Found a new band that I love. Last year it was Tool for me. This year it was Oasis. Don't know who it's going to be in 2026. What I do know in 2026 is we're going to keep bringing you brand new episodes of Owen's Rock and Metal podcast. We're going to look to talk about a new album in January. We're going to look to bring up some sort of I don't know. We're probably going to discuss an album or an artist or maybe a recent concert I went to. So we're going to bring more content for you. We're going to try to get at least one episode out per month. So we're going to try to stick with that pacing. Thank you all for tuning in so much today to Owen's Rock and Metal podcast. It's been a real pleasure. Yeah. So this is the last episode for 2025. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And as always, never stop rocking.